What's up YouTube? Part 6 of JUnit tutorial series. In this video I'll show you how to skip tests or test suits. Let's start by creating a new class. We'll call this class skip, and then inside this class we'll just create a couple of basic functions that are going to allow you to skip based on a condition. So the first one is going to be public static void, and this function I'll call if, and then we're going to pass a boolean value inside, which is going to be our condition. Now the way you skip tests with JUnit is you use assume, and then here you have a bunch of different assumes that you can use. For this function we'll use assume false. So if the condition is false, we're gonna continue running the test. But if the condition is true, which is what we're saying here, we're saying skip if true, then this function is gonna skip the test. Now we're gonna do something similar with the next function, but we're gonna call it unless, and we're also gonna pass a boolean, but this time we're gonna do true. So what this function is gonna do, we're basically saying skip unless true. So if this is true, we're going to keep testing. So let's take a look at how we can use that inside of our test suite. So here we have test suite 1 that we created in the previous tutorials. Now we're going to call skip class, and because this class is static, we don't actually need to declare an instance. So we're going to say skip if true, and then let's use the same thing here, skip if false. So this test should be skipped and this test should run. So let's execute this. So here we see that the first test actually ran, was skipped. This one ran fine and it passed as expected, but this one, it was skipped. But one of the things that you can notice here is it was actually reran 3 times, right? So failed once, failed twice, failed 3 times. Now that's because in our test rules, remember we put retry logic in here. So our retry logic needs to account for skipping the tests as well, because it's not practical to, if you want to skip a test, it's not practical to rerun it multiple times. So what we're going to do is kind of make changes to our retry class over here to kind of not bother retrying a test that we want to skip. So the way we're going to do that, we're going to go into our catch clause here, and we're going to check, basically let's do this. Let's say if throwable, let's get the class of the throwable. If the class of the throwable does not equal to the class of this exception, then we want to keep doing what we were doing. But if it is, then we actually want to throw the throwable because we're skipping. So now if you run, same thing, we get the same result, but the test was skipped immediately. Now let's take a look at how you can actually skip the entire test suite. Now to do the test suite, you have to actually call it from before class function. So let's use our before class annotation and create a function here. And remember, this one has to be static. And call it before class. And now, because we made a skip, because we made all the functions inside the skip static, we can actually call them from the static context as well. So there's no issues here. So now if we actually execute this, right, it ignored both of the tests. So that's it, guys, for this video. If this video helped you, consider liking it, subscribing, and sharing. Thank you guys for watching, and take care.